Yeah.
Yes, man.
And
So-
what's the difference between them? So talk to me.
I would love to. So this is virgin olive oil. This is a late harvest. It's soft, mellow, and sweet.
Okay.
So if you're going to use it for cooking, baking, frying, sautéing, marinating,
Yeah.
that's the best one.
That's what I want. Yeah, I want something for cooking.
That's the
'Cause
best
I
one.
cook a lot on olive oil.
Yeah.
So that's the best one.
Yep. The ASPRO is a blend of 2 olives, balanced, buttery, herbaceous. You have apple, tomato. These are all the flavor profiles. There's nothing added to it except the olive varietals,
Okay.
right? So it's more on the subtle side.
So nice for like bread dipping and that kind of stuff.
People
right?
love it for bread dipping. Popcorn, caprese salad, you know, a delicate white fish.
Yeah.
Then MAURO, it's a blend of 4 olives. So what happens when you start mixing different olive varietals is you have different layers of flavor. So there you get pear, parsley, pine nuts. So it's like you got the herbaceous, you got herbal, you got fruit, you got nut.
That sounds really good.
The OTTO is 1 olive. So sometimes what happens when you're only using 1 is you get more simple.
Yeah.
So it's vegetal, artichoke, and you have bitter banana.
Okay.
And then a clean spice. I use them all, but this is the only one I put on. You can use other ones on your skin, but this
Yeah.
one works amazing
That's
on your
very
skin.
interesting. You taught me
Yeah.
something. I thought I knew it all, and apparently I don't.
Did you catch
I'm
that?
gonna go to my Italian husband. I'll be like, where were you with this? They should write. Are you Italian?
See, maybe you married the wrong one.
I know. Apparently so, huh?
No, I don't. We shouldn't be talking like that. Mine's out there somewhere. I don't know where she is, but
You find her. Hopefully.
well, if she's half as pretty as you are, I'll take her.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, hopefully. Hopefully, if you get lucky. I'm Polish though.
Oh, I've
No,
dated a
it's-
Polish
oh,
girl
yeah?
before. Yeah,
And what happened?
she got smart and goes.
I didn't get smart yet. I still married the Italian. I'm still there.
So, Angelo, you gotta answer something for me. What olive oil is the best olive oil?
Well, this is an interesting question.
Very broad, no?
What's your favorite color?
Blue?
Blue.
Yes, sir.
Am I able to tell you what your favorite color is?
Well, I don't know. I like the Azzurri.
But would I have known that? Till
But I
then?
like the Azzurri or blue?
Well,
Blue,
either.
probably not.
Point being is that it's a very typical question.
Right.
You know, what is the best olive oil? Or what is my favorite even? But it ranges. It depends on. Well, first and foremost, it's the best olive oil for you is what you enjoy the most. And I don't know what you like. I don't have your taste buds.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is that there's thousands of real, good, high quality olive oils out there. And until you at least try 100, then even, you know, when people say, oh, you know, I like this one here, but I'm like, how can you say you like that? There's just so many of them. Like, try a new one. You never know. There's flavors and certain experiences. It's like going to the same resort or the same country. Like, Italy's great, of course, but you don't want to go to Italy every single vacation. Like, there's so many different places that you want to experience. You know, variety and is the spice of life.
Mm-hmm.
So the best olive oil for the individual is the one that they're in line with, that they feel is enhancing their life and enhancing their dishes. And perhaps it's a versatile one, or the individual might have a few favorites. And you know, in my case, I have a lot of favorites. And I mean, obviously it boils down to a few different factors, but mainly, like I said, the question too can be, you know, how do I choose the right olive oil?
Right.
Perhaps for the right dish. And you can do this is another analogy with wine, is that you have wine pairings, right? There's certain wines that go well with certain dishes, and to be pretty broad, you have white meat or fish, it goes with a white wine. Bold flavors, dark red meat, whatever, it goes with a bold wine. Olive oil can be looked at the same way. Delicate flavors that you might find in an olive oil, delicate olive oil or subtle olive oil, pairs nicely with more softer, subtle dishes.
Right.
So whether it's something like a caprese salad or white fish or shellfish, something where you don't want particularly
That
grass bitterness coming through, then a softer, more subtle olive oil or buttery might be the one that you want to pair with that dish. Something more bold, like a venison stew or Brussels sprouts or like hearty greens,
Yes.
tomato dishes or grilled meats, then that food, that dish can handle a more robust or intense olive oil that is used on top, of course, at the end, drizzled as a great condiment and food flavor enhancer. But until one actually really starts to understand the flavors and all the varieties and the different the terroir of different olive oils, then you can then start to narrow down what you like as perhaps every day, what you're going to cook with, and what you're finishing certain dishes with. I mean, olive oil too is something that the real stuff, of course, is at a higher price point. So it's not something that people can afford perhaps to have a couple of bottles going at the same time. Obviously, I have we'll say the luxury of working in the industry and appreciating olive oil and using it in abundance, that I have several olive oils in my personal kitchen going at the same time, because it's not a lot with the way I cook it's very simple. It's seasonal for the most part. I mean, I am eating salads in the winter, but the olive oil is sort of like how I change the flavor, how I enhance the dish, and how I bring those flavors together, and it creates a different dish for me. And that's how I get the pleasure out of the foods I eat, is like I'm pairing it up to the certain vegetable that's in that certain season, and then I play with different olive oils. That's the essence of my flavoring. What I'd say one of the big benefits of my family's olive oil is that it sort of hits a sweet spot of the flavors and the intensity. So there's nothing that's aggressive or bold, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's other olive oils in our repertoire that we do have that are big, bright, and bold. But they're flavors that they're versatile, but they're just easy to use. Like they're, for wine, it's just like, it's easy drinking, it's simple. It's like these olive oils can be applied to the same sort of dishes, but we do have a range in terms of intensities as well. Maybe I'll walk you through them.
How about we go?
Good idea?
Of course.
So, virgin olive oil.
Yes, sir.
Look at that.
Virgin.
Virgin. Where's the extra? Dun, dun, dun. It's missing. This is, from what I know, from what I've seen, obviously work in the olive oil industry, I haven't seen another virgin olive oil on the Canadian market, or for that matter, really anywhere else. I mean, I see them in Italy. My family sells, the majority of the olive oil my family sells is actually to restaurants.
Right.
Where it's like that 80% is actually restaurants and 20% is like retail. Here in North America, it's the other way around, mainly because of the price point and where consumers are at. But virgin olive oil is it's the olive oil that, this is our cooking olive oil. Our cooking, our baking, your frying, sauteing, your marinating, any time and place where you're going to be applying heat to olive oil,
Right.
this is the one I use. Cooking with olive oil will be another topic of discussion.
Of course.
Because there's lots of
Controversy.
yeah. There's a lot of misinformation, and perhaps I'm misinformed too, but who knows until I get raw, hard studies. But I like to use instincts, and I think we're taught as humans or conditioned to like No, you don't trust your instincts. You have to trust the label. It's what the label says. Well, we could put whatever we want on this label. Here it says virgin. There's no extra virgin. So first of all, what does this mean? Extra virgin. We actually got into this a little earlier. We didn't finish off there because there's so much to talk about with olive oil. And I get excited about it, and I feel like you are, and perhaps some of the people watching this might get a little excited. So extra virgin is that early harvest. It's got organoleptic analysis of scores of 6.5 or higher. The oleic acidity is less than 0.8%. That's the technical parameters of extra virgin. Virgin is organoleptic analysis 5.5 or higher, so that's lower than 6.5. Its oleic acidity is 0.8 or above 0.8, sorry. It can be 0.8 depending on what the producer actually wants to bottle as virgin. So this virgin olive oil is like, it's a 0.7, 0.8. So it's a very high quality virgin olive oil. We actually have another grade of virgin that just has a higher level of oleic acidity. So it's something, in terms of the flavor profile, and this is part of what makes it great to cook with, is that it's soft, it's subtle, it's sweet. I mean, it could come from majority of the olives that are produced or used to produce this oil are more mature, and that's what gives it that softer, sweeter flavor. And really, this is like an extra virgin quality because it actually is, according to the standards of like a decade ago, where the oleic acidity was 0.8, or sorry, it was 1%. This is just sort of where olive oil, good quality olive oil was, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
You can use this raw as well, meaning you can dress a salad or put it on your steak or whatever vegetables or dishes that you want to put it on. So it's sort of a general purpose. You can cook with it and it tastes great. It's like, I actually really find a lot of the generation that has grown up with olive oil back in their home country, whether Italian, Portuguese, or Middle Eastern, this is the flavor profile that they're actually familiar. Yeah, they're familiar with this. Because again, this is what the flavor profile was like, back a few decades ago. So it's, it's a winner. You got to have this in your kitchen. You got to be cooking with it. You're frying eggs, or you're doing a saute, or you're doing rubbing your steak, or whatever sort of diet you're into. This is like, it's pretty staple.
Right. And the price point on this guy, roughly?
It'll go for like $25 to $28 usually in retail.
Right.
Now it's a blend of 3 olives, the Catalea Altabratica Sinopolese. And that basically is a quick rundown of virgin olive oil.
Beautiful. We got anything else over there?
Yes, so that's number 1 in the lineup here. We're going to go for, I'm going to do it in terms of intensity. So this is, it's also progression of the oils that have been in round. So the ASPRO here, or l'Aspro Montano, which is named after the mountain range of where our family is situated, in the Aspromonti. It's also a blend of 3 olives, although on some labels out there you may say 2 olives, but we just changed that up. It's now a blend of 3 olives. So it has, it's fairly well balanced. It's harmonious. You've got certainly a butteriness to it. It's got more of a delicate herbaceous base to it. White sweet apple and a sweet almond note at the end.
Okay.
So this is the one that would go great with your caprese salad if you wish.
Of course.
Or later on we'll show you. Just drizzle this in a popcorn.
Bee.
It's like you could use this in place of butter, where you think of using butter, you can.
So it's definitely a substitute for butter, this one.
Sure.
Because it's got that creamy kind of.
Yeah, the texture as well is a little more creamy as well.
Okay.
It's I mean, you could say it's almost the most versatile olive oil. It's usually the one, you know, if someone wants me to make a recommendation for them and they're like, they're just new to the world of olive oil.
Right.
And if they hadn't had the opportunity to taste them, to figure out which ones they like, or if they really don't know, then it's just like, this is the one you start with.
Right, so this
Sort of
is
like
your
the-
basic
Yeah, it's your
introduction, right?
entry level, whatever. It's, you know, it's obviously extra virgin. And it's been around the longest, meaning that we've been producing this blend for a very long time, since the beginning, because this is composed of the Calabria, which is that common varietal, and
Yep.
then our OTTO olive.
For sure. Nice gold award here too. Where was that from?
This was from New York. It was one of the New York competitions. I mean, there's so many competitions that we do. So we have certain olive oils that we enter into different competitions, certain seals that we get. And consumers, it's, unless you're going to look into these competitions, there's some important ones that are happening, and we don't always participate either, because that's, for most producers, there's so many awards that you can accumulate.
Right.
It's good to play every once in a while to show that you're,
You still got your game.
yeah. But my family will continue. They do Feinschmecker in Germany and Sol in Verona.
Okay.
So there's a few other places. I mean, there's also this olive oil book here.
Let's go through it.
Well, we can. Why not? Because the next oil I'm going to mention is the OTTO Bratico.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that you know what OTTO is, right?
8.
8. Right. So what's this? What's the reasoning behind this? 8. There's not 8 olives in here. There's only one. OTTO Bratica.
See?
So the name of the varietal is OTTO Bratica, name of the oil is OTTO Bratico, and we shortened a lot of these names for the North American
Kind of.
population.
Language.
Yeah, it simplifies things. It is a long word, but Otto, meaning 8, Ottobre, October,
Yeah.
right, is an 8. If you think about this too, it's just like October, 8. What? October's not the 8th month, it's the 10th month. Well, back in the day, before, there was 10 months, and
Before July and August.
before July and August, yeah. Julius and Augustus decided to have their own months.
They deserve it though.
So in the 8th month, this olive, because this is a truly ancient cultivar,
Right.
and in the 8th month is when this varietal was ready for the harvest, and
Okay.
and it represented the 8th month.
Beautiful.
OTTO Bratica. So we might as well show off the book
It
here.
is found in that one.
Yeah, it is. So this was written, I think, 15 years ago. It came out a little after we started. It was actually, I think it was a book I picked up at Pusteri's. But I mean, our family's old labels in here.
Right?
But there's a whole description on San Giorgio Olearia, which is obviously our family's Olearia San Giorgio, which tells you about the quality of what they're doing there, the profile of this olive oil. And then at the front, so Charles Quest Ritson, this is a DK guide, and people are familiar with this book. This gentleman, look at that. He has tasted over 2,000 olive oils in the course of writing this book.
Holy shit.
So it took him a while. And when this book came out, I picked it up and I was like, I was flipping through it, of course. And at that time, I didn't know much yet about olive oil because I was still quite young. And I was flipping through it, and I'm like, when I came to that part, I'm like, what? My family's olive oil's in there. I'm like, my cousin didn't even tell me that there was going to be a book that was published and there are olive oils in there. And so I talked to him. I'm like, hey, there's this olive oil book. And he's like, I don't know anything about it. I'm like, he's like, who's the book? I'm like, oh, there's this English guy, Charles Quest Ritson. He's like, oh, I remember there was this gentleman who came to the farm, to the estate, and he bought some olive oil, and he looked around, he got a little tour, but he didn't say who he was.
So this guy was undercover. I got it.
Especially when you're working with certain people, and then you're going to get influenced in certain ways, right?
For sure.
So he stayed undercover, collected olive oils, visited estates, and then he came out with this whole guide. It's a very well written English guide, especially for its time.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the front of the book here, he has a top 10 list. So his top 10 oils for value, and at the top here is Olearia San Giorgio Lottobratico. See that?
Oh my God.
Right at the top.
So that's this guy right
So
here.
this was, this was 15, like you can tell by our family's label here, like this is going back a few years. Like that was the second draft of our family's labels. Actually, being on this page, maybe I should just read this quickly. Which oil is the best? Hey?
Kind of familiar.
Yeah. Almost every producer, farmer, village, company, region, and country believes its oil to be the best in the world without being able to say why. Hey, but it's from my town, and I'm from over there, the small town. We have these olives. It's the best. Yeah, it's the best for you, sure. Why? Well, it's
the best.
It's my family.
It's
when people come out and say this is the best olive oil in the world. It's to a point, it's kind of like racist or prejudice or whatever, because you're saying where we come from,
we make better olive oil.
we make better olive. Well, that means you must be a better person, right?
Or French. That's gonna stay, but keep going.
Okay. I can keep going. Yeah. Few can taste another oil and explain why it is inferior to his own, except by saying that it is different.
Continue as you were.
Oh, okay. And explain why it is inferior to his own, except by saying it is different. And I simply do not like it as much. Choice is a matter of personal preference. Anyways, it keeps going on there. So, to Charles Quest Ritson,
Yes, sir.
this oil is pretty important.
It's very
This
important.
is number one for value. And even today, when it comes down to like people saying, "Oh, that's expensive," no, it's not.
No.
No, when you're actually comparing the diverse range of real olive oils that are produced in this world,
Right.
it's maybe below the mid-range in terms of price.
Right.
Like it's actually what you could. It's affordable. It's really affordable for what you're getting, even compared to just other real extra virgin olive oils.
Of course.
That's it. Single varietal. What you get in some single varietals is simple, clean.
Yep.
In this case, you get some artichoke, bitter banana notes, a hint of green olive, and then at the end you get that clean, bitter and almond spice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's apart from like just simple dishes, but like I really like this on fish.
Mm-hmm.
Most types of fish. I like this on certain tomato dishes.
Right.
I like this on rapini.
Hey, rapin, cime de rap, bares. That's,
The certain bitter greens, because it highlights bitterness without really bringing out too much bitterness. It keeps a
for
nice,
sure.
a
Nice compliment to it.
balance in there. And this is the one that I use on my skin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
After a nice shave.
After a shave, yeah. Today I even shaved for the camera because
It's
I heard they were
looking sharp.
I heard they were showing up today, so I shaved.
Uh,
But even if I'm not shaving, I actually just started with putting this stuff on my hands. You know, come winter time,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
for sure.
There's certain places where you're like, yeah, I gotta put some on my hands. So it was actually a friend of mine who's fair complexion, blonde. he got it. This was going back a few years. He picked it up, and I didn't see him for 3 or 4 weeks later, and then I saw him again. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were going south or whatever. I could tell he looked like he had a tan. He had highlights in his hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, he looked different. He's like, yeah, I started using your olive oil on my face and my hair. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm not even doing that. Hold on a sec. So, because I was just hands and in my feet actually. So at that point I was like, wow, I'm missing out here. And I always knew that, because my grandmother, that's what they did. They put olive oil in their hair. Like, they didn't really wash their hair. That's what they did. They put olive oil from the scalp, moved it out, comb it out. And that was, because it cleans. It's
For sure.
It's kind of a solvent, and it cleans, and it strips away dirt, grease, grime, and then replenishes at the same time.
Gives you nutrients, yeah?
That's right.
I used to do Danny Zuko, some grease lightning, man. But I didn't know it give you nutrients.
Yeah. That's the term greaseball actually came from, the Mediterraneans that are putting olive oil in their hair.
That's it.
Use it at the beach, whatever. We're going to talk a little bit more about the skin, but this is, honestly, I use this more on my skin than I do in my food, because I use it very often on my skin.
So you'd say
head to toe.
This is the best olive oil for
It works
skin.
for my skin type and for many others. Like, we do have probably thousands of people using it. My family actually makes a whole skincare line from this oil. But here we have literally thousands of people that are using it on their skin. We have some handcrafted skincare companies that are actually using it as well in their
recipes.
In their concoctions.
Good.
Great for the skin.
And that's the OTTO.
OTTO, yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, the uses of olive oil can broadly range from the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, and if it's a really poor quality, the garage,
Yeah, for your car.
Yeah. It's the ones you don't want to eat. Someone gives me a bottle of oil, I get a sample of something that isn't worth eating, then squeaky door hinges,
That's it.
Yeah, bicycle chain. You got to put it to use. I'm not going to waste it.
And what are you going to go buy WD-40 for?
Yeah, it's toxic.
Boom. Get some Maestro.
MAURO. So this olive oil comes from a really special, unique, high elevation olive grove.
Okay.
Still very close to where our family is situated.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm there, it's just, the first time I went there, it was just, oh wow, there's something going on here that, there's Fioli, there's other groves that we have, but I fell in love with this grove. It's our one that's we've certified this organic, and it's not something I totally promote. I mean, of course, it's great to be organic, but our production is organic. This is the one that's been certified organic.
Mm-hmm.
So MAURO is a blend of 4 different olive varietals. Always Ottabratica, Carolea, Sinopolese, and Roggenella.
See.
Yeah, which are indigenous species to
Southern Italy.
Well, no, just in Calabria, not southern Italy. Just it's very specific to particular regions, yes, but even to the territory within that region.
Right.
So MAURO, we've had it for quite some time. We have some big name chefs using it in the city of Toronto.
Okay.
We have its flavor profile is it's somewhat bold, but it's contained, and it has a little more complexity to it, and it's you got the pear. There's a bit of parsley. There's pine nut. There's also, I don't know, the way those flavors work for a lot of people, especially when you're just having it on its own, is that you actually experience those. Yeah. So with another aspect of the flavor profile here is because it's a blend of 4 varietals, and the way that they work together, and the perception that I get, and other taste buds out there, is that you actually can pick up the layers of each varietal of olive
Right.
as you're tasting it. And with saying that, actually, like we're giving these descriptions of olive oil and what it
Yes.
tastes like, and this sort of goes back to what each person likes and what your favorite color likes and your favorite color green, whatever. Like it can be pretty complex, but you can taste things differently than what I taste.
Mm-hmm.
So you might actually taste things in this that I can't pick up. And actually, when they're judging olive oils, in the lab setting where they're actually judging competitions, blind tasting, all that, there's not just one person judging one oil.
Of course.
They've got 8 people and then a panel leader. So the 8 people judge the oil. Panel leader takes those scores and then comes up with the final score.
Right.
So that being said, what I'm explaining is from a personal perspective of my taste.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having those 4 layers is like, makes it interesting. And it's something, obviously when you're tasting it straight, but when you're applying it to dishes, it does something different. In certain olive oils too, and even with these ones, when you try them on their own, there's that distinct bitter spiciness to them. And when you apply it to food, you lose that in certain ways. But it still can remain fairly intense depending on how sensitive a certain palate may be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Mauro from our family's farm.
Beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Another gold award for this guy as well.
Yeah, there was one year that we entered the competition there, and there's different. The way this competition works is that there's different categories. So it might be they have they have single varietal northern hemisphere, single varietal southern hemisphere, organic, northern, southern, because we produce olive oil in the southern hemisphere. That's New World. There's blend. There's DOP. There's I think there's 12 different categories. So this was for the organic category.
Right.
And what I also noticed is actually our family has a new bottle. Yeah.
Very clean, sharp.
Yeah,
Nice
got
design.
the embossed family name on there, Mastri Olearia, and it's a new clean looking label. They're pretty happy about it, coming to a store near you. Who's next? This is our newest edition,
ALTA.
Altanum. ALTA for short. Actually, back to Terra del San Mauro. That's just the little area where the grove is in San Mauro. Altanum is a Latin name, and our town was actually called Altanum, which is like, it means fortress. There's a fortress of Calabria. Like our town is, every town is special. Our town is Italo's son.
Yeah.
Was given basically Calabria. So our town, where it's situated, you can see right to the sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful landscape. He's got
high,
the plains there, so there's like lots of production, high fertile soils that produce amazing things. This is part of the colonization of Greece coming into Calabria.
Mm-hmm.
Even the word, like you have Kalamata, right? Calabria. It's been italicized.
See?
But that means, Kala means good, and Bria is like earth or good soil.
Okay.
So it's been known for the fertile soils because it's like fairly plush there, and the reason being is because of water.
Yes, sir.
It has really an endless amount of spring water all
Flowing
through that entire mountain range,
Right.
which feeds life, right?
Especially those plains and everything.
That's right. So Altunum is the old name of the town. So what recently happened in Calabria finally is that they were awarded IGP designation. So, which, they should have had it long ago, but it's something that a lot of the olive oil producers were working hard for, because it's another,
Recognition.
yeah, that helps market the product and
Of course.
helps consumers realize, a different quality. All of our olive oils could be IGP. This one is the one we chose. Each one has its own special, unique features, which I forgot to mention a couple on them, but we're going to come back around and explain more and get into details about the oils, and maybe even show how to cook with them or how to use them. So the Altinum is another extra virgin, of course.
Yes, sir.
The cultivars, this is our biggest blend of 5 different varietals. So the same varietals as Mauro, Carolea, Tebratica, Sinapolese, Ragionella, and then Cicciarello is the 5th one.
That's what they used to call me back in the day.
Yeah, Cicciarello.
Cheech, oh!
So this ends up being our most, it's got the most flavors, it's also got the most robust flavor. It's like the most prominent, dominant
Right.
flavor profile. It's got the biggest spice as well.
A nice kick.
Yeah, and it's because it's got nice body to it as well, so it really plays well on the palate, and it's you just know it's there when you're tasting it. So it feels kind of like it feels like what a symphony orchestra would look like, and it's just like dancing on your palate. You're getting a whole bunch of different flavors. Sometimes it's layers, sometimes they're intermingling, and then at the end,
Luciano
Dun,
Pavarotti
dun.
slapping that last note,
that's right.
literally.
And you're like, oh my goodness, what was that?
Ave Maria.
Yeah, so the IGP, maybe what that means, or we can get into labels later, but it's our newest baby. So, it gets a little extra treatment.
Of course.
And it's just out on stores. There's not too many stores that have this oil. In
So,
fact,
rare. You're telling me this is a rare kind of find here.
yeah, it's new, so it's going to be rare for people who've never experienced olive oil, but for people who've actually know where olive oils, this will be a new experience.
A success, a nice hit.
Right.
So now this Christmas wrapped box, beautiful display, olio extravergine d'oliva.
Yes. MICU, Fazzeri. So MICU is the nickname of Domenico. And within my family's, within the family here and the producers, I'm not even sure how many Domenico Fazzeris there are. There's a lot of them. So MICU was really the cornerstone of the company. He was pretty well the founder, and this is a commemoration to MICU.
So this one's dedicated to him.
That's right.
That's why it's so articulate.
Well, it's 1906, so he was born in 1906.
See?
And the product is limited to 1,906 bottles that are produced every year. So it's a
rare item, you're saying.
Yeah, this one will be fairly rare. And there's a couple of Michelin star restaurants that are buying it, more than places in Switzerland, I know. But so it has, the design actually comes from, so he had a cane, and that cane, well, you'll see in the M there, and it's then that cane was just used to design the label here. So it's got some cool colors on the front, and it's a blend of 2 olive oils, 2 olive varietals. Ottobratica, of course.
Of course.
And that, in fact, was his favorite olive varietal too, but it's what we're known for. That's it. And it's the magnificent trees that we're surrounded by. In the Piana di Gioiatara, we have the biggest olive trees in the world. You'll see it in some of them.
How tall these things grow to?
They're the ones that have been left. I mean, even some of our old growth, they're 80 feet tall.
Ding!
And, they're a few meters wide.
Come on.
yeah, there's a couple of pictures of certain trees. We're gonna go there, when you and I go there, that I think it's 4 or 5 people wide. You know, there's 3 or 4 people just standing right there, and the tree's like even wider than them. It's huge.
Fantastic.
So this olive varietal, it's actually, I got a taste of it a few years ago. It's called Casanese, and I fell in love with this olive varietal. So every time I get a little shipment over, I'm like, hey, Giorgio, send me that Casanese. I want some of that for my own, it's my private stock, right?
Right.
So now because they were growing it, you know, they had put plants in many years ago, but now it's at a point where we can actually get a little bit of oil.
Right.
So that's part of the, you know, the rarity and, you know, the higher cost, because there's very little of it made. So the Ottobratica Casanese blend offers, it's pretty complex for, you know, just a 2 blend of oil, but it's got some
Nice notes and
yeah, it's got some good, I mean, it's got great flavor, but it's got a distinct like bite to it, but it has flavors that, well, because it's Ottobratica, it's a little more reminiscent of the land, but it feels like it represents the land and maybe even the people. And it's funny, actually, with this oil and even Ottobratica, when I've even explaining it to certain people, it's just like, you know, the words that you can use, it sounds like you're describing the people there. I'm like, yeah, I never thought of it that way.
that's a nice connection.
But it's got strong vegetal, you know, mountain herb. There's just like a ripe or an unripe green olive,
Right.
which comes out nicely, and then yeah, the nice big spice, clean but sort of contained at the end. Your bean soup, you know, pasta fagioli, like, you know, beans for me, this is
This is a very good compliment
yeah.
to your beans.
I mean, we eat a lot of beans, especially in the wintertime, right? You dry the beans and
Yeah,
you soak
certo.
them, and this to me, that's like, there's a certain classic dishes that just take me there.
Right.
And that's one, especially with this olive oil.
So for classic dishes, you'd say this is your guy.
Yeah, classic Calabrian.
Style. Something
Yeah.
you want to take it back to the roots.
Yeah, something like pesce stocco, like, you know, codfish.
Yeah.
And it's just like codfish is like,
Nice hearty. Right?
yeah, and it's got flavor right after it's dried out, and the whole process it goes through. This is like, oh yeah, this is the one. With
Yep.
tomatoes, you know, anything even spicy too, because it can hold up to it and come through with whatever. If you put an nduja in your pasta, or if you're just spreading it, it's just a good way to enhance spicy dishes as well.
Mm-hmm. And how much is this guy going for?
Retail, I think this is around $60.
That's a good price for a bottle, no?
Well, for what you're getting, it's limited production.
For
and
sure.
It's around 60, but I'm not even sure, because.
So you see a lot of Michelin star restaurants are using this guy.
Yeah, mostly. Of course, in Europe, there's no Michelin stars here, but I was mentioned earlier, like just getting restaurants to use olive oil is not an easy go. But we want to change that landscape with, make olive oils stand out in the dishes and have a different approach to offer chefs, and make them something that they can incorporate into dishes and make it the dish.
For
You know?
sure.
That's what olive oil is. It can make or break the plate. You know, we have our family has around, it's a fair sized grove. We have around 25,000 olive trees, but it's a small area, and the fact that we can have such a unique, diverse range of olive oils that are offered from one producer in one area because of the blends that we're able to come up with, and it all comes down to the quality of the soil and the production, and you're able to create distinct flavors. It's very versatile and handy to have, and this is, you can say it's fortunate, but to have started with this flavor profiles of olive oils really helped us create a strong
Image.
base with people's palates and what they can easily use and build up towards. And this is part of the reason why now we've sourced olive oils from other regions in Italy, mainly Sicily and Puglia, and a few up north that we're looking at. And then, which, Italy's, just to mention that Puglia and Calabria, those are the two biggest producers in terms of region, and then Sicily's in third. In the south they're producing 80%, if not more, of Italy's entire production. So it's mostly just happening in those three regions,
right,
which are pretty small. And Spain is the biggest producer of them all, and they're upwards of 60% of the entire world production, which is huge. And it's a lot to do with the terrain there. I mean, when the Roman Empire took over there too, it's how do you build wealth? Well, you plant more olive trees.
Sure.
And the terrain there, because they had vast lands of flat land, easy to plant trees and to maintain them and harvest from it. So that's a big factor. Whereas most of the Italian peninsula is, there's basically mountains running through the middle of it. So that limits your growing area.
Right.
It's already a small area, but the fact of it being such a small country and they're able to produce that amount is, it's pretty substantial.
Yes, sir.
And then Greece is in third for the amount of production. There's the Mediterranean basin, so like Turkey, Tunisia, even Egypt, Lebanon, the Middle East, basically, and most Southern European countries. Croatia is actually a great producer of olive oil. And you got Spain, Turkey, Portugal. And then there's some New World, which is Australia, a little bit of New Zealand, and over in South America, you got Chile, Argentina, and a little bit in Brazil. And then you have California, Arizona. And there's actually some very, very minimal, but there's also some in Asia, in Japan and China.
Really?
Yeah. So that's, that's gonna, we had an olive oil from Australia, and unfortunately the company wasn't sustainable, but they didn't make it. The flavor profile, and they're all cultivars mainly from Spain, Italy, or Greece. But when you take a certain varietal and you move it to a different land, soil type, air, sun, it completely changes it. So the profile you find on varietal that you'll taste, and the same thing goes with wine, right? You'll have a certain varietal grape varietal grows in France. Well, you move it to Southern Ontario, they're completely different.
Of course.
Obviously, they have their
similarities,
their base similarities, but the nuances are completely different, and that's what happens with olives too. So the wonderful world of olive oil, it can be pretty diverse within a small area,